The topic which we are going to start, guys, is a very interesting topic of CCNA, and it is somewhat which is recently introduced in this new syllabus. So the name of the topic is wireless implementation. Now, whenever we do talk about the wireless implementation in the Cisco CCNA, so there are nothing more need to do. We don't need to go in more in details, but yes, here we are going to cover what is the part which includes in your CCNA syllabus about the wireless implementation. So now let's say, for example, whenever you are going to configure any wireless router, so what are the settings you need to configure in that wireless router? So let me write settings, or we can say configurations, which we need to execute on a wireless router. So see, the first thing which we need to configure about the wireless routers, if you are having some wireless router in your organization, so the first thing you are going to configure is the name of the network. Now, if you will see that what is this name of the network? Now, whenever you are going to configure any wireless device, so the first thing about
If you enjoyed the content of the video, don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel.
the wireless device that you are going to configure the name of the network, and that name of the network in technical terms is known as SSID, which stands for Service Set Identifier. Now, the next thing which you are going to configure is known as your LAN subnet. Now, in this LAN subnet, there are few things. That the first thing is that the IP address of the device, which can act as the default gateway. The next is the DHCP server, which is pre-enabled on the wireless devices, but sometimes it's not enabled, so we can enable it manually. As you all know, we have done the configurations of DHCP. Now, these are the things which are assigned in the LAN subnet. Now, the third thing comes on the wireless router is the WAN interface. So what happens in this WAN interface? We do have three things again here. The first is like if your ISP has provided you some static IP, so that will be the static IP. Like for example, this is your home router, and this the home router is connected to some ISP here. This is just assume that this is your ISP, and this ISP is connected to some wide area network here. So on this interface, like for example, and inside your home, you have this device. So on this interface, the ISP has provided some static IP to you, right? Like this is the route to reach the destination, and here the ISP will provide you the default gateway, which is the router IP, like that is the part of LAN subnet. But this is somewhat I'm talking about the static IP, which your ISP is going to provide. The next thing, DHCP can, like the ISP can go with the dynamic IP, which here I can use the DHCP if by using some reservation, or if you have connection, like one connection is known as triple PoE, which stands for point to point over Ethernet. Point to point over Ethernet. Now, whatever we have discussed this part theoretically, so I will be letting you know all these things practically as well. So see, one point is more missing, which is netting is enabled on wireless devices. Netting is somewhat like we will discuss a concept which is known as your network address translation, which is going to convert the public IP into private IP and private IP into public IP. So now, once you have configured the basic parts about the device, like for example, if you have a wireless router, the first thing you are going to configure is the SSID. So SSID, like the maximum characters you can use in SSID is 32 characters only. So these are the maximum characters which you can use as the name of SSID. Then the LAN subnet, WAN interface, and netting is always enabled. Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next thing about the wireless configurations is like how you are going to secure the network, because you have configured the network. Now, securing is another part. So if you want to secure the network, you have some things here. You will see that it is go like any wireless device supports some kind of encryption. So there are some encryptions. So in these encryptions, we have some encryptions like One is WEP, which stands for Wired Equivalent Privacy. We do have the next, which is WPA, which stands for Wi-Fi Protected Access. We have the third one, which is WPA2, which is also stands for Wireless Protected Access, but it is an advanced version. Now, see, guys, all these encryption standards are somewhat like, whenever we do talk about these encryption standards, so they all the encryption standards are going to use some protocols and they uses some cipher. So like there are some backend algorithms which these devices are going to use at their backend. So if you will see, let's discuss one by one. So here I will be writing the name of in protocol, like what is the protocol, and here we will be writing the standard, and here let's write the cipher, which cipher it is going to use. So see, like the first protocol we do have here is WEP, and the standard for encryption it is going to use is WEP, which was introduced somewhere around 1999, and it uses the cipher RC4. The next thing is WPA. So in WPA, there is a protocol, like, that protocol is known as TKIP, which stands for Temporarily Key Integrity Protocol. So it uses this protocol and it uses the same cipher, which is RC4. Now, the last we do have is WPA2. So it is going to use some CCMP protocol plus TKIP protocol. So TKIP is somewhat temporarily key integrity protocol, and CCMP stands for like it's a very big we can say the full form counter code with cipher clock chaining message protocol authentication protocol. So this is the full form of your CCMP protocol, and it is going to use the most standard cipher, which is advanced encryption system. So this is somewhat like which is right now the most trendiest, and we can say the most used protocol over the wireless networks like this WPA2. So it is going to use this AES algorithm to protect the data, and by doing some encryptions in a very better way as compared to the previous versions. Now, if you will see that there is one thing which is always, you have to remember, the thing is that before selecting any encryption method, like for example, if you are configuring this wireless device here, and if you want to go with this wireless device configurations, so if you are going to configure the wireless encryptions here, so in this wireless encryptions, you have to make sure that to this router you need to check like what kind of devices you are going to connect. Now for example, if your organization is having some devices which were bought around like in 2007 or 10, so like they are not going to support this WPA2. So you do need to check like according to the devices which are being used and according to the machines which are used in your organization. But right now every organization is having high sufficient good like infrastructures, so like they are going to support WPA2 as well. So more widely, these two are the protocols which are used, WPA and WPA2. Okay, everyone?
Yes, sir. Sir, WAP is different from WPA, sir.
Yes, yes, like it's different from WPA2.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but there is a difference. Like if we are going to talk about WPA, WPA2, so there is somewhat like difference of digits. Like they are going to identify some like WPA only understands the one digit code, and this can encrypt the two-digit code as well, like this WPA2.
Okay, and I have seen WAP, sir.
W
AP, sir.
WAP.
Yes, sir.
So WAP is also a like protocol, but like I don't think it's being used because wireless access points are these are some devices basically are like these are the hardware kind of devices. So like which are used to increase the rate of your wireless network. So WAP is somewhat a wireless access point.
Okay. These are protocols for we use for encryption purpose, sir.
Yes, like this is not the protocol which you asked WAP. So these are the encryption protocols which we
WPA, sir.
WPA or WAP.
No, sir. I am asking like you have mentioned here WPA, WPA2. These
Yes,
are
yes,
protocols to encrypt our password, right, sir?
yes, right, right.
Okay.
To encrypt our password as well, and to make sure that whatever the data you are forwarding inside the network, so they are going to check the authentication on all these devices as well.
Okay, sir.
Now all these things, like all these protocols, by like if you are saying securing the network, so this is how you are going to secure the network. But the next thing is like all these protocols like WPA2 and WPA, normal WPA, so they are going to come in two variants, like all both of the protocols have their two variants. The first is WPA PSK, where this PSK means pre-shared key. The next we have is WPA2, which is WPA2 Enterprise. Here also you have PSK and Enterprise. Now, what is the difference between this PSK and Enterprise? I will show you the same on practicals as well. Now, for example, let's understand this, that what is the difference between PSK and Enterprise version. So, if you have configured PSK inside your network, right? So that means like if you are going to connect to anybody, any other user is going to connect to your network. So if you have configured the WPA PSK, so it is going to ask you for the password, like normally you do see in the organizations. If you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, so you do need to apply the password and then you click on connect, right? Now, if you want to go with the enterprise version, so there is a server which is known as Radius server, and on that Radius server we do need to assign some usernames, and according to that, like if anybody wants to go inside your network, so he will click on your Wi-Fi network, then it is going to ask him for the username and password. If you have seen any scenario like this, like somewhere like we connect on the Wi-Fi, so if you will see that it is going to ask for the username password instead of you asking for the password, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Like
that
in
is,
railway stations, it will ask them.
yes, yes, right. So this is what the difference between PSK and enterprise. Now let me show you some practicals, like how about the wireless implementation. What are the things, like what are the things which we have discussed? We will see all these things in the packet tracer. So please allow me for a minute. So now we are in our packet tracer. Now here if you will see that I am going to take one router and one computer. So this is my computer. I'm taking one laptop more, and let's take a wireless router. So here you will be able to find the wireless router in this wireless devices and this WPA 300, WRT 300, sorry. So now this is the wireless router. Now, before going on the wireless router, if I'll show you my router, so you will see 192.168.1.1 is the gateway of my router. So if I'm going to see right now, I'm using the Excitel connection. So I do have the triple PoE connection, that I do have this username and the password I do have. So I am having the con connection which is triple PoE on the WAN interface, not the static nor the dynamic IP. Okay. Now in this router, how we are going to access this router? So simply go on the router, and if let's zoom this. So if you will see the physical structure of this router, so this blue interface is representing the WAN interface, and these four yellow ports are representing that they are the LAN interfaces. Okay, clear
Yes.
everyone?
Yes, sir.
So now if you will go on the device, let's connect this PC0 with this router. So I have connected this PC with this router and I'm going on this PC. Let's go in the desktop IP configuration and assign DHCP. As I told you, DHCP is always enabled in the wireless devices, but sometimes it's not, so you can manually turn it on and you can configure manually, as we have already discussed that. Now we got the IP. See what is the gateway? 192.168.0.1. So if you will go in the web browser and if you will write 192.168.0.1, it is asking for the username and password. So
Yes, sir.
admin is by default the username and the password. So now see, we are in our PC and we have accessed the wireless router from here, right?
Yes, sir.
Now if you will see that the internet connection type. So I have discussed three types of internet connections, like on the WAN interface, static, dynamic, and triple PoE. So if you will see on the router itself, that internet type, see, automatic DHCP is there, static IP is there. So if you will be having some static, so you do need to assign the IP manually, right? Now, if you will talk about the triple PoE, so you need to like configure the username and password for, for your device, and you need to configure some domain name or MTU units accordingly if you are using the triple PoE concept. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now let's do it on DHCP. The DHCP server is enabled and the starting IP address is 192.168.0.1 is the gateway of our network, and the start IP address is 0.100. So that is why this PC got the IP of 0.100. If you will want to see, I can verify the same set. See that 0.100 is the starting IP. Okay.
Sir, that means 1 to 99 IP address are excluded there, sir.
No, it's not excluded. Like, see, if there is any exclusion, so the exclusion was mentioned there, but as such, there is no exclusion. But 68.0.1 admin. So now if you will see here that the starting IP address is, the start IP address is 192.68.0.100, which means it has configured that the IPs which we are going to assign are like they are going to start from 1.100. But see, like as such, the IP address range is from 100 to 149 in this device, right? So that is why it is showing, but they are not exclusions. Like if you will see that there is no exclusion present in this reservation part, or any reservation has not been done as of now, right?
Yes, sir.
So, but if you will write start IP address as 1, so you will see, and now let me save these settings. Settings are saved, continue. Remove this, go in the IP configuration and again ask for the IP. Now see which IP we will get. See 0.2 we will be getting because 0.1 is the gateway, right?
Yes, sir.
So like they are not excluded, but they are somewhat according to the router ranges network which we have configured.
Okay.
In admin. Now is this clear? Like these are the basic things, but if you will go in the wireless part,
For
yes,
this router, only 50 members can be connected, right, sir? Maximum number of users.
means
That means it was showing that only 50 numbers can be connected to this router.
yes, like maximum number of the users which you want to connect to this router, like how many users you want to give access to this device.
Okay, sir.
As per the default network, we can use 254 addresses, but you can define that as well according to your need. If you will
Okay,
write,
sir.
let's see 100 here, and if you will apply save settings, continue. So now you will see that the IP range also extended like from 1 to
Yes,
100.
sir.
Previously, it was showing 1 to 50 only.
Yes, sir. Sir, whoever connected to this router, they should enter, they will get a pop-up like enter username and password.
No, in that case, that is a different thing. We will be moving on that part as well.
Okay,
Like if you want to see any, we want to assign some username password on our router. So we will discuss that as well. See how we are going to do that. Need to go in the wireless, and if you will see the network mode, like these are the basic settings. So always remember that one thing is always recommended, that in case of wireless devices, the things which you know only, just to configure that things only, like rest of the things let them default, because if you disturbed any kind of network information inside the network, so it is going to you know like create a lot of conflicts in between the network, and there will be a lot of network glitches. So
sir.
like it's recommended. So always let these default setting be default, and the things which just configure that things only. Because wireless implementation is somewhat a very like a wide topic, and there are different certifications on this part as well. But as of now, we are discussing the things which are included in your CCNA content. So if you will see here in the security mode, I just click on wireless security, and we are in the security mode. If you will see that these are the security versions which we have seen, right?
Yes, sir.
Personal, enterprise, and WPA2. Personal is pre-shared key, like it's PSK. See WPA personal, it is asking that which encryption you want to use, TKIP, temporarily key integrity protocol, or AES, advanced encryption system. Now, if you will select the WPA2 enterprise, you will see you need to assign the radius server IP, and on that radius server you are going to configure the username and the password. So for that kind of scenario, you do need a radius server inside your network which is connected to your wireless router. Then only you will be able to apply the username password if somebody is going to connect to your network. Clear everyone?
Yes, sir.
See, now what I'm going to do is let's go in some basic configurations. I'm changing the name to PyNet Labs and I'm saving these settings. Now, if you will see in the wireless security, I'm going to apply some security. Let's say I'm applying WPA pre-shared key and the encryption we are using AES and the password which I'm applying is C. PyNet Labs rate 123. Now let's save these settings and as I have saved these settings, now let's connect this router to this wireless device. So if you will see on this wireless device, let's go on the laptop, desktop and this PC wireless. So right now it is saying that we do need a wireless interface card. So in this laptop, you are going on this physical, zoom in, turn off this laptop and just remove this Ethernet port like this NIC wired NIC card and just place this WPC 300N. So this is a wireless network interface card and turn on your laptop and go in the desktop PC wireless. So now if you will see that in the connect, you will find the name of our router which we have configured. See, now we are getting the PyNet Labs. If I'll be clicking and I'll say connect, so it is going to ask me for the pre-shared key and the pre-shared key was PyNet Labs at the rate 123 and connect. So let it connect. I think I have entered the wrong password. Just let me verify what is the password which we have assigned. It's capital. Okay, see, I have assigned PNYET. I have written the wrong spelling. No worries. I'm copying this password and going on the laptop and I'm pasting the password here. This is the right password and connect. See, now we are connected to the router using wireless medium. And if you will see that this router, this machine is having some IP of 0.3. So on this machine, on the 0.2, if you will ping the 0.3, let's pick 192.168.0.3. See, we are getting the replies just because we have established a wireless communication here. Okay, clear everyone?
Sir, if we use enterprises, then it will ask username also, right, sir? Along with
Yes,
password, it will also ask username.
yes, but with the condition is that you have to configure a radius server inside your organization, and on that radius server, you have to apply the username and the passwords. Then it is going to ask you for the username and passwords.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Vicky, Tarun.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the part of your wireless implementation.